Throw my money to the wind. Why you out here trying to get it? It's just paper. And that was Elmo who said that quote. Just wanted to share it with you guys today. Welcome to another episode of the QDecent Podcast. I believe we're on I want to say episode 12, which is pretty neat. 12, that's a lot. That's like the age of a little kid who's starting to really piss you off, maybe. Or like maybe the age of a really wise fish. That's what 12 is, I think. Check out my Twitter if you guys give a fuck at all. It's at QDecent Podcast. And dude, I was talking some shit about TikTok. And after my episode with Aaron Romano, which was fucking awesome, some of our clips kind of got some views. So they give me another chance, I guess. I don't know how the algorithms work, but TikTok, man, it's really something. And I love this one guy on there. I can't remember his name exactly, but it's Jack something. Jack with something with a K. He's super famous, got millions of views. He's incredibly funny, man, especially his video about asking permission to his boyfriend's dad if he can marry his son. That one is incredibly funny. I won't get into it. Anyway, today's episode is brought to you by the Minneapolis Police Department. Ever since they got defunded, they've actually been sponsoring the QDecent Podcast, which is really neat. Really great, actually. They just have no money, and that's just enough to afford to sponsor the show. So good for them. Do you ever watch a show like that you're really into and you watched the last episode and you didn't know it was gonna be the last episode? That makes me feel some type of way. I did it on my most recent rewatch of Louie. I did it on a couple of sitcoms that I really liked. Definitely did it on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Definitely did it on Space Force most recently. And I also did it on Great News, which, by the way, is an incredibly underrated Netflix workplace comedy. So if you haven't seen that, go check out Great News. It got canceled after a couple of seasons. It's really a shame to get defunded when you're a hilarious sitcom. If you're a police department, you'll be fine. No biggie. It's cool. Now, I just want to send a fucking message to the assistant manager at my job. And I won't say your name. But dude, how do you know the names of songs that you've heard a lot of times before? Just how do you do it, man? I don't get it. This fucking dude will name the song and the artist from his favorite Pandora station and then walk over to the speaker and check his work, see if he was right, read it again to me and say, how does he do it? Oh man, I got a kick out of it at first. And I guess I'm still getting a kick out of it. I'm hoping that you guys are too. How do you do it? I'm hoping to have this particular individual on the podcast very shortly, but until then I won't tell you what his name is. But he's incredible at naming the songs that he's heard a million times. So that's super impressive. Hopefully he can maybe bring something more to the table on the QDecent Podcast. Anyway, I made a decision recently, you guys. And here's what it is. I talked to my son on video chat really recently, and before she put me on with him, she said, hey, what does he call you? And every time anybody's ever asked me, or I've ever thought of before, what do I want my son to call me? My first thought is, has always been, in the past, okay, so my first thought has always been, I don't like Dad, but there's really nothing else better. And it's always come to an impasse, so then people ask me, I don't even know anymore. Hey, what's your pronouns? I don't even know anymore, man. What does your son call you? I don't even know anymore, man. But I had to come to a decision quickly, because this is not my kid's mom I'm talking to. This is foster parent, and so I don't want to, waste your time. I said, I don't have any problem with Dad. I think that's all right. I think Dad is cool. And she said, great, because I told him that he was going to talk to Dad today. And then I talked to him, and it was just so incredible. But the point is that when she said, Dad, or when I said Dad, and then she said, oh yeah, I told him he was going to see Dad. I said, you know what, I'm just going to go with that, and I'm cool with that now. And before I didn't even know anymore, but now I'm cool with it. I'm just going to go with it. And it relates to another experience in my life when you first go to rehab and you are a fucking godless drug addict with no hope. Somebody at some point is going to say to you, you have to find a higher power, a God of your understanding. You can call it whatever you want. It can be whatever you want. And when they first told me that, I was like, what? I don't get it. I don't want to make up a God. I don't want to do that. I don't need to fucking make up God, man. I just don't believe in it. That's what I said back then. And then some stuff happened. I started to sort of get the idea of a higher power, why it was there, how it helps. And then I left rehab. I went to a sober house in Nashville, and my uncle runs the place. And he was talking to me about this. It was literally on our drive from the airport to the sober house. He was telling me about his experiences, and he said something about blah, 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 higher power, a God of our own understanding, or no, he said higher power, comma, and I call that God, and I choose to call that God. And in that moment, I thought, fuck, you know what? I've been trying to come up with a name because they told me I could call it whatever I want, but I think I'm just going to be cool with God. I think that's fine. I mean, maybe my understanding of God isn't exactly the same as everybody else who says God. Actually, I promise it's not. I promise it's wildly different than the vast majority of people who use the word God. But I just decided I'm going to use that word because it doesn't matter, man. Words are interpretive, and I'm just going to be a dad who believes in God, and that's just going to be fine. That's just going to be cool. I like that. I don't give a fuck, man. If I want to, if I decide I don't want to be dad later, I guess I'll switch it up, but I think it's going to be fine, man. I'm down for it. And my son is doing so well. He's got some words. He said, truck. He said, I'm stuck. He said, something else. I don't know. He made a lot of loud noises, and I fucking love him. Anyway, what up? Dude. It's not what I would have originally preferred, a dad who believes in God, but fuck it. I remembered. So a few episodes ago, I brought up, it means the same thing to be up for something as it means to be down for something. Well, I'm up for that. Yeah, I'm down for that. That means exactly the same thing, so what the fuck are you doing, English? And I was trying to talk more shit about English, and I knew there was another one just like that, but I could not remember it, and I fucking remembered it. And I wrote it down for you kids. So here it is. It means the same thing to be off some drugs as it means to be on some drugs. Man, dude, I smoked like 6 blunts. I'm fucking off the shits right now. You know? Or like, dude, I smoked like 6 blunts. I'm like on one right now. You can be on drugs and you can be off the drugs, and it means exactly the same thing. Granted, you could also be off drugs and it means you're really not taking them, but off the shits. That's like a term I used to hear all the time. Dude, he's off the shits, man. Bro, you hear about Jeremiah, man, he's fucking off the shits. Bro, Marjorie, I heard Marjorie, fucking Margarine, bro. Marjorie is doing fucking PCP again. She's off the shits. Fucking dude, you hear about Steve? He started doing crack again and putting it in his booty hole. He's off the shits. He's never coming back. Dude, you hear about Johnny, man? He started drinking liquor again. He's on one. He's never coming back. You hear about fucking Jeremy? Started taking Xans again. He's on drugs. They're all off drugs, man. And that's why English is fucked. Alright guys, that's the end of that. I feel like nothing can surprise me anymore. I feel like I've been surprised so many times in these last 21 years and 1 month and couple of days. Recently turned 22. Dude, I've been so surprised by so many things, you know. How good drugs feel. That's one of them. How sex works. How fucking hard it is, but how easy it is to obtain. How shitty it can be, but also amazing it can be. How easy it is to get addicted to food. How easy it is to have a great time. How easy it is to have a terrible time. Fucking 9/11. Black Lives Matter. Coronavirus. Dude, nothing can surprise me anymore because my whole life I have been shocked by shit, and at this point the only thing that could surprise me is if everything just stays normal for the rest of my life. If that happened, I would be worried. I would probably go crazy. Probably go schizo and like freak out and start like drawing shit on the walls and like making calendars out of fucking pasta. I don't even like pasta. I mean, marking the days with Sharpie on my pasta calendar. And dude, I'd be so worried that some crazy shit was gonna go down because it's not been happening that I would go insane and everybody would be like, oh yeah, you hear about fucking Emmett, he's off the shits. But I'd be sober. That's probably how it would go. And dude, I would end up living like at the bottom of the ocean in a pineapple like SpongeBob, but I could just breathe water now. I think so. And, dude, one of the things that used to blow my mind was, so I lost some weight when I was in high school, went running and cut out sugar, and it took a little bit to get into it, but once I got into it, it felt really easy. Like I couldn't stop. Like if you start running, then you can't stop or you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna feel like you aren't getting your fix. It's like a whole nother drug, but it's good for you. And so I've been running and I've been trying to break this mile, because I remember for the first, like, back in the day, it took maybe a week or two, probably 2-3 weeks to get to the point where I could run more than a mile, keep going, 1.5, 2, 2.5, that kind of thing, and be running the whole time, or like jogging. So I've probably tried to go for this mile marker like 6 times now in the past week or two, and each time I probably almost got it, getting closer and closer every time. So like the last time I ran a really solid, actually pretty good paced, almost mile, and then I would stop, and then I would feel bad that I didn't finish, and then I would run more after that, walk, run, but it never quite felt right. So I always end up mostly walking back, so I run a mile, and then I walk back, but then run a little bit, and then get fucking tired again. Anyway, the point of what I'm trying to say is I was talking to my mom, and I found out that she does a thing. She's got a playlist where she walks and runs to the exact tempo of each song in the playlist. So she picks them out very carefully. Some are really fast walking, old lady walk like this, really fast. Some are slow running, and she's to the point where she can put her playlist on shuffle for an hour and go out and it's either going to be a walking song or a running song, put it on shuffle every time so she never knows what's coming. She's like 50 and she's in incredible shape, but anyway, I was running Got to my point 8. I was fucking killing it, man. Sweat dripping everywhere. I don't have the fucking dog bumping on my side. I'm all alone. I'm listening to Bishop Gunn, dude. And I was listening to Southern Discomfort, dude. That's such a good running song. And then this song came on called Sweet Conversation by Black Pumas. And I was really close to the end of I was like 0.9. And this song just happened to be a really perfect as fast as you can walk without running speed. And I was like, I'm gonna do what my mom does and steal her shit. And so I finished out the rest of the mile like an old lady, like this. Except one of my hands I had my JBL speaker in. Got hair in my mouth. Ugh. And it was great because on the way back I had to keep it up. I had to keep up the tempos, and sometimes it was a way too fast tempo and I would screw it up. But overall I think I got a way better workout doing that. Like, so I ran for the first 0.9 and then I adopted my mom's method because I didn't want to finish that mile and the song was perfect. So that's, if I'm lucky, I will be in as good shape as my mom is right now when I'm fucking like 60 or whatever she is. I'm kidding, Mom. I know you're 50 something. Love you, Mom. Shouts out to Eve Inc. Books. That's an incorporation that does not sponsor this podcast. I don't fucking know why not. You could say that they do, however, because when I invest in shit for the podcast and then I can't afford groceries anymore, I hit up my mom and say, yo, Mom, can you buy me some groceries? And she says yes, because she's the best and she loves to feed her children because she's not a degenerate. And I love her. And I think that's all I have for you guys today. We're just going to close out by throwing these sunglasses back on. And I didn't have a fucking plan for that. There's a little bug flying up against my window, and I'm gonna name him Steve after somebody who's off the shits. Dude, Chief Steve Blunt Smoke. That fly right there is flying up against my window, and I love you, kids, and I have to sneeze. Hope you guys liked the episode. Stay safe. Stay cute.